folks, welcome to the final part of Sonic Generations, and now we're finally taking on the big bad Time Eater, who it turns out this whole entire time was being controlled by Dr. Eggman. See, some of you might have corrected me last part about the Egg Dragoon, because you're like, no, the Egg Dragoon was in Sonic Unleashed, it wasn't a Mark II. But that was present-day Eggman in the last fight. At the very end, he said, I can't believe this! I was supposed to beat you this time! He clearly made a Mark II. Why would he make the same robot that failed twice? And before you answer, well, he used the Egg Emperor too. He didn't pilot that machine, that was Metal Sonic. Remember? In Sonic Heroes, Metal Sonic was driving that thing, actually. I don't know where I'm going with this, but either way, folks, the Time Eater is a very different boss fight in the 3DS and the console versions. And a lot of people don't like the console version of the fight, but the 3DS version, I think, is actually really solid. If the 3DS version was in the console, hell, Dimps and Sonic Team should have just collaborated and had the exact same boss fight, honestly. But, the 3DS one, specifically. But, the 3DS one works really well. You got these 2D sections where he has a whole bunch of attacks. He has the green lasers that you need to dodge. He has these lunges where he tries to grab you or slap you, and you know where he's going to be slapping because of the purple cursors. Anytime, when you're trying to go for the S rank with Time Eater, you don't want to get hit by any of his 2D attacks, because if he hits you with the green laser, he will start another pattern of that green laser. When he slaps you, he will do another pattern of those slaps. He doesn't do them infinitely until you die. Like, if you keep getting hit by the same attack over and over again, eventually he will switch to the new thing. But if you're trying to S-rank this thing, you don't want to get hit by anything. You want to dodge as much as you can, because he will repeat attacks, and he will be draining your rings with every single repeat that he does. Every time you damage Time Eater, he escalates and adds extra moves to his repertoire. You know, he has these homing arrows, he has the green lasers, he has the slap that he tries to do. We hit him a bit, and he's going to have another extra ability for us while we're dodging all of this stuff. So, yeah. You're controlling two Sonics at the same time. I think only modern Sonic gets hit. Like, I think he's the only one who actually takes damage. I think classic Sonic can pass through a little bit of the lasers and stuff that are being thrown at him, but I'm not really sure. So he didn't do this big laser before, but he's doing this big laser now because we keep hitting him and stuff. And that laser will get more deadly the next time we're in the 2D section, so pay attention and watch out for that stuff. But, yeah, these are honest-to-God patterns, you know? These are techniques that you can look at and see how you're supposed to dodge things and when to take advantage, because after he does his moves, you homing attack the Jewel, you go into these 3D modes where he shoots all of these paralyzing energy beams that will stun Sonic if you stand around in the same spot. That's why all these purple cursors are flying all over the place. If you have a purple cursor on Sonic, move to the left, move to the right. If you're boosting and not holding a direction, Sonic will just go for a beeline to the Time Eater. And every now and then he'll try to grab you, try to crush you, and that's when you push the control pad and the B button in order to dodge all of his attacks. Every time you reach Time Eater in these 3D sections, he will try and swing at you where you dodge with a directional button and the B button. And then you homing attack his orb, the little jewel center, and the more we destroy that thing, eventually we will defeat Big Bad Time Eater here. But as you can see, the arrows, he wouldn't have shot a second set of arrows if I didn't get hit by that first set. So, and I got hit again, so you'd think he would shoot a third set, but no, he does move on eventually. He will move on if it's taking too long, I guess. But, yeah. If you're trying to S-rank this thing, you don't want to get hit too much. That's all I'm saying. But it's a good boss fight. I think this is a way better executed fight than the console version that we'll be seeing later, and it's pretty swanky. I like that this game takes place, like, directly after Sonic Colors. Like, literally, the last time we saw Eggman in Sonic Colors, he, Orbot, and Cubot were floating through outer space after the amusement park fell apart. And, what do we see when he finds the Time Eater? Eggman drifting in space with Orbot and Cubot, who he leaves behind in space. And don't worry, they're gonna run into Wheatley, it's okay. They'll have another robot to talk to. Can't go wrong with Steven Merchant, you know. But, yeah, this is the 3DS fight. At the end, you just have to hold the Y button.
What? I'm not giving up yet. Why you? No!
I don't think it's too bad holding on to rings in this boss fight. I did have 162 by the time the thing ended. So ring count, I'm not really too worried about with this one. It's by far the superior of the two fights because now we're going into the rather inferior Time Eater fight of the console version. All of Sonic's friends are going to talk. I was waiting to jump in, but they won't shut up. Take a shot every time one of them says, "Look out, it's a homing shot. I think that's a homing shot," and you will get pretty plastered pretty quickly. The console fight is a little hard to explain because it's a really confusing fight, and it's not really clear what you're supposed to be doing. I can only say this. For the 3D sections, you want to boost to the Time Eater until you eventually reach him. At that point, you homing attack his core, just like you do in the 3DS version. Every now and then, he will get out of this 3D perspective, and you can push the Y button to transition from 3D to 2D. When you're in 2D, you'll be in the 2D pathway with the Time Eater, but he can still attack you and shoot a whole bunch of arrows at you. And I've never caught up to him in the 2D sections. I've never actually reached Time Eater wherever he was in the 2D parts to damage him. So I have a lot of trouble with this section, and I'm not really sure if there's a way to be faster here. I've only ever hit him in the 3D spots, so I don't really see the benefit of going 2D most of the time, because the rings are a little bit easier to collect in 2D, I suppose, but because they're so hard to find in the 3D version. They blend in with the gold and purple background, and just, don't boost all the time. If you see a trail of rings, stop the boost, make sure you're in the center of those rings, and then when you start collecting them, that's when you boost, because you will attract all of the rings to you, and they will all flow into your character, and that's super important. As for the 3D sections, I find, this might be just in my head, I'm not really sure, if you boost in where the core is, like if you aim Sonic where Time Eater's core is, and then you boost, you seem to go faster to that core. I feel like if you're not facing the Time Eater in that way, it will take a while to catch up to him, it will take a while to reach him. But in the 3D sections, I tend to aim Sonic where the core is, and he catches up to it nicely. But all I'm really doing is I'm dodging a lot of the blocks and stuff that are floating throughout the time-space. I'm dodging his arrows, I'm dodging all of his crazy attacks, and I'm just holding the boost button this entire time. I'm just holding the boost button, getting closer and closer to Time Eater until eventually I attack his core. And that's really all I'm doing. I'm just holding the boost button and occasionally moving Sonic, and I feel like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Time Eater has this ability where he slows down time, but it doesn't actually do anything. It just slows down time. It doesn't hurt you, it doesn't make him go faster and make his attacks harder to dodge or anything. He just slows down time for no reason. It is literally a waste of time because I don't know what the point of that move is, and yeah. So again, all I'm doing is I'm just holding the boost button, holding it. Sometimes I will tap it multiple times because I feel like that helps, just like it does with the Shadow rival fight. But, yeah. I don't think this is nearly as bad as Dark Gaia. It's just kind of boring and confusing.
Sonic, press left bumper and right bumper at the same time to combine your powers.
I mean, I had the same experience now that I did the first time I ever played this. I held the boost button, I made sure I collected rings, and I beat him no problem. It was always under 5 minutes. I was surprised so many people hated this boss fight with a fiery passion.